Good evening, Dr. Bali. Thank you for this assignment. I worked on the article on policy capacity conceptual framework that was written by Wu, Ramesh, and Holet. I was happy to see the combination of public policy experts and political scientists around this. What is the paper about? It was an attempt and a very, very good work around conceptualizing policy capacities, which really did a very good work in helping to answer the question of what policy capacity really is, and lay the foundation for understanding the adequacy of policy capacity and the entities and the components, within which it exists and within which it can be measured. They're built on the work of so many other scholars who had made attempts, to define policy, but only succeeded in trying to explain it from what the policy capacity can do mainly. However, of course, Moore have done a very good work in analyzing policy capacity in a more detailed way, but did not very clearly articulate it. Now, it is good to establish that they had did a very important work in, first of all, defining what policy capacity is. They define policy capacity as a set of skills and resources or competencies and capabilities that are needed to perform the functions of the policy process. Now, they recognize the three forms in which policy capacity exists, in the analytical form, in the organizational form, and also in the political form. And they also establish that they are organized at three levels: at the individual level, at the organizational level, and then at the systemic level. One key thing about the amazing work that they did is the fact that they have been able to define or lay a foundation that makes it easy to more precisely assess the capacity of policy actors, including policymakers, the governments, and other actors. And they have succeeded in trying to explain that in putting together a conceptual framework that works for understanding the capabilities and capacities that are needed for all phases of the policy process and for assessing the capacities of all policy actors and for better understanding and measuring the components of policy capacity that are needed to make policy to succeed, or that could explain why probably policies fail in the first place, either the failure of it at the level of ideation, conceptualization, design, implementation, evaluation, or monitoring, and vice versa. Now, one thing I love about this is the fact that, in a real sense, they did not just arrive at just three types of policy, typologies of policy. They arrived at nine typologies of policy. And that needs to be very clear. The fact that they understood that for each of the three forms, which is analytical, operational, and political, they exist at three levels: at the individual, at the organizational, and at the systemic level. And this needs to be quite clear because it enables a better measure of the policy capacity that is in place to enable the success at various phases of the policy process, or that might explain the failure, or that might help to understand what capacities needs to be built up, what capacities is where there are gaps in the capacity. Now, coming further onto the what they were not able to establish very clearly, or they rather put forward questions around, is they put questions around what how policy capacity could help to better explain policy change, how policy capacity influences policy success and policy failures. They also try to understand, with this framework it is easier to understand the various component of policy process and policy capacity, and how to better assess them. Thank you so much.